Welcome back, my champions. Let's get quickly started with HTML5 and CSS3. Part number 23 of the series. In case if you have jumped directly to part number 23, I want you to go back and check all the parts before moving with part number 23. So let's get quickly started with today's lesson. Alright, so objectives are JavaScript. We are just checking slideshow, right? And we see that if we could learn something for examinations and interview purposes, right? Implementing JavaScript. So now, as you know that we have two kind of scripts. One is a server-side script, another is a client-side script. So what is the difference between server-side script and client-side script? For that, we need to learn basics and we need to learn MS Paint, right? Okay, now let's get quickly started with okay, now this is the client browser or the client machine. So let's suppose let's take it as a client browser, and we know that web is all about request and response. So it is our duty as developers, because after designing we have to learn development as well. So we are not going to run away from that. All right. What are we? Not only designers, we are good enough developers, right? Now this is basically the request going to the web server, right? Okay, so now this request is to the web server, and a web server sends back the response, and that's why we have response codes. For example, if server sends a response code 200, that means okay, right? I'll give you the detail about the response code in a while, or maybe in concurrent classes. Right, so it is client machine, and inside client machine, what do we have? Client browser, right? So we have a client machine and we have a client browser. So from client machine, we have a client browser sending requests to the web server, right? And it is the web server which sends back the response, right? So I would rather write web server machine, right? Now it is a web server machine, and a machine will have a web server, be it any software. Web server is basically a software like Java uses Apache, PHP uses Java uses Apache Tomcat, Glassfish, JBoss, and PHP uses Apache, and C# and ASP.NET uses IIS Windows, which is Internet Information Services web server. So what is the duty of web server? Web server renders, right? Because the browser understands only HTML, so it's the duty of the web server to take the dynamic input and render it, convert it back to the browser understandable format. And what is the browser understandable format? That is HTML. Now, what you do in web, or we can say server-side scripting, right? So what does server-side script do? Server-side script will only give the request and the response. That means no code in server-side scripting. No code is sent back to the browser, right? No, let's say about source. No source code is sent back to the browser. You have to understand it that it is not going to send any code back to the browser. What it's going to do? It is going to send the rendered output back to the browser. Okay, is that understood? Okay, fine. So what is the rendered output? For example, if I am doing validation, so all the validation code will be inside server. So it is going to send either valid or invalid, right, data. So that is the difference between client-side script and website script. And client-side script is basically going to get downloaded inside the client browser. If you say JavaScript, now we have many pages with JavaScript integrated already. For example, if I open this index, so it's double X, right? And we have this index file right here with this login. Now if I right click and view the page source, and you can clearly see that all the Java code is downloaded to the browser. This is validation.js, right? So this script runs from the browser, right? That's what I want to say, that this script runs from the browser. So that is why it's called as client-side script, and server-side script runs at the server end and gives the rendered output, right? And every request has a response. For example, if you type some page that does not exist, for example, I go ahead and I type something that does not exist. So you are getting your file was not found. This is called as error 404. So the response code for file not found is 404. 404 means file not found. All right. So 200 means okay. Now if I access the file, because the file is found and I am getting the output. So the error, sorry, the HTTP response code sent by the server is going to be 200, which means okay. 500 means server error, and we have 400 or 401 and 401, which is bad request. So every request has a response code, right? So that is what web is all about. You send the request, you get the response. The response can be a text file, response can be a video file, a content, HTML content. It can be a PNG image, a BMG image, a JPEG image, whatever it can be, right? So now, how many type of scripts do we have? We have two kind of scripts. One is client-side script, another is server-side script, right? After client-side script, inshallah, we'll learn the server-side script also, right? So shall we move? What is JavaScript now? A JavaScript is a client-side, non-object-oriented scripting language. Now, is scripting being interpreted or is scripting being compiled? Okay, let me give you an example. For example, if I execute this file, app.java. Now, once I execute, I will say Java or Javac app.java. So this is called as an compile time. So this is what we are doing here. We're compiling. So we are compiling the file. And what is the output of the compilation? Right? What is the output? Output is going to be a .class file, or we can say it is going to be app.class. So that means we cannot run app.java file. We can only run app.class file. This is called as a compile time. This is called as a runtime. All right. So that means we cannot run .java file. We can only run .class file. So this is the case with compilation. First, compiler will read the source code, convert the source code to a class file, making it ready and runnable. Right? That is why at runtime we don't get errors, we get exceptions. At compile time we get errors. At runtime we get exceptions. Anything that comes at runtime is called as an exception. Just like we have null pointer exception, many different things, right? Okay, and at compile time we get errors. So now this is Java is a compilable programming language, whereas JavaScript is not compiled. It is interpreted. Now once I say interpreted, what do I mean by being interpreted? Interpret means it's going to execute line by line. So let me show you an example of being interpreted, right? Because I need you to be ready for what is this? As I said, for examinations. Okay, iframe is, I suppose, understood by you. So let me open some other file. Like we have this index right here, and it is having a validation.js associated. So txt submit.click function. If I alert here, now you can see that I alert at the beginning now. So I'll go to index.html. Right, so now once I click on submit, alert is happening. Alright, so that means this is not compiled. Right, we have not compiled it. For example, if there's an error, here, txt remember is not found, I'll just delete this R. Alright, and now if I refresh the file, and you can see that alert is still coming. Enter the first name, Fahim, and now alert is still coming. Enter a valid last name. Okay, I'm doing it somewhere else. I'll have to close this NetBeans, so it's causing me a problem. Okay, for example, if I just type wrong password, right? So now this password does not exist because I have misspelled the name here. Now will the alert happen? Yes, alert will happen. But after alert, you can see we're getting enter a valid first name, I'll enter a valid first name, alert will happen. Last name, I'll enter a valid last name, username, right? And now you can say enter a valid email ID. So now I have jumped to a valid email ID. Now it says contact number. And so I will type a contact number. Now it says please select your country. Right? Now it says please select your gender, username, and you can see confirm password is required. Without even checking the password, it has jumped to confirm password. Why? Why it has jumped to confirm password without checking the password? That's the problem. Because we have misspelled it here. The name does not exist. That means the element, or we can say HTML element, txt password does not exist. Had it been with Java, it would never run because this is going to throw the compile time error, right? Interpreter, JavaScript interpreter is reading the code line by line, line by line, line by line, right? And the moment it sees an error, it stops. Right? It does not produce any class file. It's a run from the source code, right? It's directly run from the source code without creating any class file or without creating any DLL file or any other file. That is the difference between being interpreted, just like Python. Python does all the operations. It does all the object-oriented operations as well, but it is being interpreted. We can't say Python compiler. We say Python interpreter, right? So that's where we see that every single line which was okay has executed, and the line which has an error has thrown error right here. Okay. For example, if I say, now if I just go ahead and I say password, all right. Okay. So now we have this message label. So I'll just delete message label. I'll just misspell it, and now let's see the response. We are not getting it. That means the label name is not right, but we are getting this highlighted area, and this highlighted area will follow. So this is the difference being interpreted and being compiled, right? Compile time, compilation will throw error if there is any variable that does not exist or any element that does not exist, but interpreter is going to work till the time it finds an error. The moment it finds an error, it's going to stop, right? So that's the difference between interpreter. Interpreter will read from the source code line by line. It's synchronous operation. It's not asynchronous operation. Yeah, but in case of AJAX, when you learn AJAX in the near future, that is going to be an asynchronous operation. Synchronous means line by line, sync, in sync, right? Okay, I hope I have been able to make you guys understand. Now, what is JavaScript? JavaScript is an client-side scripting language wherein the browser is interpreting, right, the code written, not compiling it, right? Okay, script, client-side and server-side. Let's move. JavaScript provides the following benefits. Handle events. We know that we can create on-click event. We can create on-change event, just like this. So we want to, for example, let me show you. Sorry. All right. So let me go ahead and let me go back to test, right? Or let me go back to this test, which is destination, right? And show you a few more things regarding JavaScript. Okay. So I'll say test.html. So now this is my welcome page. Now, what kind of event handlers can we have in Java? So for example, I have this. I will say input type select, right? I can say, or we can not say input type select. Let me say select, and I'll give it an ID. So I'll say select test is an ID of select, and select can have options, right? So option has a value. Why do we have value? Just for database redundancies. We know that database understands integer values more. So for example, I'll say India, 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 and I'll say a few more things. 2, 3, 4, right? So now I may require a submit button to take value from this, right? So I can say input type button. I can go with button. I'll say id is equal to btn submit, right? And this is my btn submit, and to give value to the button I'll say save, right? So let me execute it. Right, so now we have this India, right, and we have this. Okay, let me just reduce the size here. Alright, so we have this India and we have this save button. So now I want to create an event handler on save. As I've already shown you that we can still create. We can say on click, right? So we can say, hey, on click. What I want to go to this function test, right? So I can directly go to this function test, right? Let me have it inline inside the body. Let me have it inline. So I'll say script type is equal to text / JavaScript. JavaScript is never a self-closing tag, and I can say function. So I'm designing FUNCTION function test. So this is my function test. And now what I do inside function test, I'll say alert, right? So that's as simple as anything. But what do you want to alert? I'll say I want to alert a value. So I will say dollar. No, I will not say dollar because I'm not using jQuery here. I'm using plain JavaScript, right? So I can say var, let's say about COUNTRY, where country is equivalent to, right, sorry, I'm still using it, document.get element by ID. What is the ID? ID is select test, right? And I can say get select test dot value, right? So I'll terminate it and I will alert this country. Fine, so this thing is done. And you may say, why are you showing us this? I already know this. So if I click on save, nothing is happening. Function test, so it is on click. I'm going to test. Okay, 1 2 3 4 India, Pakistan, Germany, India, Pakistan, USA. I'll use some short words. It takes a lot of time to write big words. So UK. And now I refresh it. It should come. It's not coming. Okay, let me debug. By debug, ALERT. So I'll say alert. Okay, let's see. Yeah, alert is happening, right? So that means document.get element by ID has to be inside quotes. Okay, now let's see. Now we are getting 1. We are getting the value, right? You can clearly see we're getting the value. So I can say dot value, and you can say that you can get value by just going ahead with the value. Okay, so now what I want, let me have this right here. So I will say select, right, and I will just use option for validation. I will say value is equivalent to 0, and I'll say select. Right, so I'll use the select country. All right. Oh, why have I used select? Sorry, I am feeling hungry. Maybe fasting is taking better of me. Maybe, who knows? So now I get 0 when I change. So now I get 1. So this is called event handling. So we can handle events by using JavaScript. Now this is on button. What if you have seen many websites, right, wherein event handling happens even without a button? Right, I want to just get alert without even having a button. So what I can do right here, I'll say, hey, what do you do on change? Whenever value is changed, you go and find a function test. That's it. You go and find a function test, right, on change. Now you can see You change, and now event is fired. You change, event is fired, right? So this is what you can do. On change, it's possible. Better way is to write like this: JavaScript test. It's the best way to have all the cross-browser compatibilities. Cross-browser compatibilities. I just don't stop having tongue twisters in Ramadan, and I hope you too are having, but you don't take classes, right? Okay, fine then. I hope it's understood. We can have different event handlers. For example, let me have it for input type checkbox, right? So we can have a value is equivalent to, no, checkbox does not have value. I'll say ID checkbox. So the ID of this checkbox is checkbox, as simple as anything. Now I want, when I click on this, I want some event to happen, right? So you can even do that. You can say, hey, on change, I want to fire this function test. So you can even say here, even on click will work here, 0, and now you can clearly see. All right, you're getting. If you want to get the value of it itself, for example, if we have second function, I will say function test2. So I can have function test2, and I can say alert, but I want to alert op, which is option, and option is a variable. Op is equal to document.getElement by ID, right? And I can use this checkbox separately here, and this is called on change, right? This is called on change. So now we don't have buttons here. We are able to call every single thing on change right here. So now let me call this on change, and let's see what are we getting. We are getting 0, right? Okay, so now we have to call test2 here. I call test1. Now we have to call test2. We are getting on. We are getting on. Now when I click, we are getting still on. So because the value is always on, so what do I do here? Document.getElement by ID checkbox dot checked. So I'll use checked here. So this is going to return, when it's checked, it returns true. If it's not checked, it will return false. Now true. Now when I uncheck, I should get false. Now you can see unchecking is giving me false, checking is giving me true. And now, so this is what event handling is all about. Gather browser information. Yes, we can gather browser information. Yes, we can even manipulate cookies. So cookies, I'll tell you in server-side scripting, right? And we can have them inside script tags. And script tag is not a self-closing tag; it's a separate closing tag. Fine. So we can have JavaScript code can be inserted in the following sections. We can insert it in the head section, or we can insert it in the body section. As both the things are quite evident here. Here we have inserted the JavaScript code in the body section, and if I go to index.html, you can clearly see here that we are using JavaScript code in the head section. Alright, you can clearly see that. Okay, it can be inserted anywhere, right? So it depends on the personal interest, and this is how you insert JavaScript, right? This is already known. Which one of the following attribute is used to specify the path of an external JavaScript file, which is src, source? Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. JavaScript rules and conventions. Semicolons, quotes, case sensitive. JavaScript is a case sensitive language. We know that. It uses semicolons. We know that. It uses quotes. We know that. You know that. Get element by ID. E is capital B. B is capital I. Is capital means it's a case sensitive language. And it uses quotes. Yeah, we have seen that. And it uses also semicolon to terminate the statement, right? And everything else is known by you. Okay. To display an alert on the web page, we have already seen how can we display. And we have some client-side scripting going on outside. My dogs have started barking. And believe me, in the lockdown, they hardly barked. But since the lockdown is over, so they are a bit jealous. Everyone is locked inside home using Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot, right? Okay, ignore them. So we can have conditional constructs. You know what is conditional constructs? You may see this option tomorrow. You say, oh, sir, we haven't learned conditional constructs. Conditional constructs are simple if and else statements. Loop constructs, you know looping. If you don't know looping in JavaScript, will let them bark first. Okay, I'll show you that. Operators we have already seen, and variables we have already seen. So let me see more. We know that it is basically, there are two type of, this is going to help you in Java also, right? This is always going to help you in Java. So let me create this function test. Okay, and let me take it on change. Now what I do, I will say var name. Let me just have this here. Okay, let me have it input type text id txt name. So the id is txt name. All right, my batu. Okay, var name, and I'll just say stop as your syntax says. Now what is this? This is either called as function declaration or variable declaration. Now if I say, now I'll go ahead and say name is equivalent to Fahim, semicolon, and this is also called as function definition or variable initialization. Either function declaration, function initialization. In layman's language or in basic language, you can call it variable declaration and variable definition. Same like Java, it's happening in JavaScript as well, right? And second is var school is equivalent to NIIT Sri Nagar. So this is declaration, or we can say both at the same time. So what is this happening here? You're declaring a variable and defining a variable at the same time, or declaring a variable and initializing a variable at the same time. And this process is separate, wherein declaration happens first and then initialization happens, right? Okay. The operator, we have arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, logical operators, same like Java. Comparison operator, right? We have this arithmetic operators, plus minus. We have logical and operators, right? So those are known as operators. Okay, all right. So these are, I've already shown divide. This is basically this modular sign is going to, okay, let me show you this. Okay, let me have two input types. So I'll say input type is equivalent to text, and I'll say id is equivalent to txt num2, and let me call this as txt num1. Is that clear? So txt num1, and we have txt num2 as an input type text. So now I will have input type button, right, and I'll say value sum, right? So sum, or we can say add, or we can say calculate, whatever it is. Let's not fight over it. All right, so let me just delete this function, so we have only this one now. So what I can do, I can say var num1, initialization will happen at the same time, is equivalent to document dot get element by id 1 dot value. I want to get the value of txt box 1, and I can say I want to get the value of txt num2. So I'll take txt num2 here, and I'll take by id txt num1 here. So I can say on click, what is inc? On click, we'll say JavaScript, or you can even do not type JavaScript, you can type test directly, right, which is also good. I don't recommend it, yeah, but your syllabus recommends it. Fine, so now I can say calculate what do you want. I say now I have a third variable, which is sum, which is equivalent to num1 plus num2. Alright, so now let me do this. Num1 has 10 and num2 has 20. So it's going to add up two numbers, right? So now I will say alert sum. Simple process that you're aware of, so it's nothing new. So I can write 10 and, oh, what is this? I can write 20 and I can write 100. I should get 120, but I'm getting 20100. But as you know that every input that is taken from all the language, be it a scripting language, be it a programming language, almost all the languages around the globe, right, whenever they take input from the user, doesn't matter from the browser, from the console, or from any GUI application, if you're taking input is always and always and always and always, how many always is, I'm counting them, is always going to be taken as string, right? Every single input that you are taking in any language, PHP, ASP, JSP, Enterprise Java, Spring, Struts, Python, Django, all the inputs that you are taking as script, and which is the case with JavaScript also, and the similar case with JavaScript. And now for that, what you are going to do, you have that procedure of typecasting. Alright, you can say, hey, take num1, but you got to take this num1 as int. Can we do this? Let's see. Take this num1, take it as int. I don't know whether it works, but yeah, I believe it may work. 10 plus 20 is going to be 40. No, it's not working, so I may have to do int. So I have to do integer, or we have parse int. Yeah, we have parse int here, sorry. So parse, P-A-R-S-E. So we have parse integer here. Just like in Java we have integer.parseInt, here we have parseInt. Alright. Okay, now let us see 10, 20. So now parseInt 30. Now instead of, right, we know that instead of concatenating them, it has added them, right? So this plus, if you know operator, if you know polymorphism, polymorphism means acting in many forms, right? This polymorphism means acting in many forms, and this plus acts whenever string is given to the plus operator, it is going to concatenate two strings. But similarly, if integer is given to this operator plus, it is going to add. That means plus will add two integers and will concatenate two strings. That is in acting, a single operator acting in more than one form. That's, poly means many, morph means form. So now it is a clear example of polymorphism right here. Okay. Now, for example, if I enter 10.0 and I say 20.1, I still get 30, right? If I say 10.9, I still get 30. And for that, if you want to get that, we have another function known as parse float, FL. So for that, we have parse float, right? We know that data types in data type in Java depends on the value supplied to the data type. Now, if you supply integer data type, integer value to sum, the type of sum will become integer. If you supply float, the type of sum will become float. So it's automatic assignments, right? And now if I refresh and I say 10.9 plus 10.1 is equal to 21, right? You clearly see float, right? It is 21. Otherwise, if it's integer, right? Or if I say 10.9 plus 10 is equal to 20.9. Now you can see you're getting answers and you're getting a response in float, right? Alright, this is what we call conversions and parsing, or typecasting, maybe not typecasting but parsing or conversions, data type conversions in Java script. We can do this as well, right? Hope you have understood. And yeah, I will have to show you this now. So I'll go back to parse int, and now if I use this operator here, it's going to divide. But yeah, what is the difference between modulus and what is the difference between this? So I'll say 10 divided by 5, absolutely 2. But if I say divided by 3, so I have to get a floating variable. You can say the value comes in float, 3.33333 something 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 something. But what is the remainder? If I want to get the quotient, this is how you get the quotient. Now I want to get the remainder. So this modular sign is going to give you the remainder, and slash sign is going to give you the quotient, just like in Java. All right, so I'll see. All right, so you can see the difference. The remainder is 1. All right, so this is remainder, this is quotient, this is multiply, this subtract, and this is addition. The assignment operator, we know that assignment is there. So this is concatenation. Okay, let me show you concatenation. For example, if I say okay, So I'll say name is equivalent to, or we can say f name is equivalent to Fahim, and I say now I have to keep whatever is in f name. I have to keep it thereby. For example, I'll say, what if I say f name is equivalent to f name plus just a bit of space Khan, Khan. I'm using a single variable here, and I'll say alert f name, right? So terminate, right? So now I'll carry on 10, 20, and I hit Fahim Khan. Now you can see I'm getting Fahim Khan. What if I don't have to do this? F name is equal to f name, right? I have to keep the record. That means assignment, right? Assignment takes place from right hand side to left hand side. Whatever is in right hand side has to be assigned to left hand side. Okay, so now what I do, what is in right hand side? Plus f name plus Khan. Alright, what is in f name? That is Fahim, and you're adding and giving it back to f name. Alright, so what is happening? This is keeping the old record, right? You say f name. If you say f name is equal to Khan, because it's a variable, Fahim will be replaced with Khan. I don't want to replace, I want to keep the previous value intact. So I say f name is equal to f name plus Khan, or you can do this, f name plus is equal to Khan. Short. Keep the previous record, right, and drop Khan. Now you can see, if I just click here, you can see Fahim Khan. So this process is the same, right? Okay, so this is how we use it. Minus is equal to is going to keep the previous record and remove and subtract it with the new record, multiply the old, and similar modulus with the old. So same things. The precedence is as BODMAS, you know that. So it's going to follow the precedence of BODMAS. For example, if I say how much is, let's say about how much is 10 plus 20, right, multiplied by 3, right? How much is this? 10 plus 20 multiplied by 3. So that is how the precedence is followed. So you'll say, sir, 10 plus 20 is equivalent to 30. 30 into 3 is equivalent to, what is 30 into 3? 90. So you should get 90, but you're not getting 90. You'll get 70 here. Let's see, what are you getting? Because of the precedence, now you're getting 70. Why didn't I get 90? Why did I get 70? Because of BODMAS, right? BODMAS rules are applied in all programming languages. Unlike Python, it follows PAMDAS, BODMAS. So now you can see BODMAS, multiplication is happening ahead of addition, right? Multiplication will happen first and then addition will happen. That means first we have to multiply, then add. If I add first 10 plus 20, which is 30 into 3, 90, then we should get 90. No, but BODMAS rules, 20 into 3, that means 20 plus 20 plus 20 is 60, 60 plus 10, 70. That's why we are getting 70 as an answer. And for that, brackets will come first. If I say this into this plus 10. So if I say 2 minus 3, right, plus 2 plus 6, or we can say 10 minus 3. Now what answer do you expect in this expression here? What is the answer expected here? You will say, sir, 10 minus 3, which is going to be 7. 2 plus 6, it is going to be 8. And then you will say, sir, it is going to add, right, 8 plus 7, right, 15. 15 plus 10, 45. So are you going to get 45 then, right? So let me see. Absolutely not, right? We're getting 66. Why are we getting 66? Again, BODMAS rules. Bracket is going to be first executed, but how many brackets we have? 1, 2, right? So which bracket will be first executed? BODMAS rules, BODMAS. Yes, bracket comes first, which is parenthesis, and DM, but multiplication comes ahead of addition, and addition comes ahead of subtraction. The brackets with addition will happen first. So 2 plus 6 is equivalent to 8, and then addition is again going to happen. Now if you say 10 minus 3, 7, right? And now which thing is going to happen? 10 plus 8, which is going to be 18, right? So 18 into 7. How much is 18 into 7? I don't know. 18 into 7 is, oh my god, I did something wrong. 18 into, what is happening here? 18 into 7, my mistake, 126. No, I'm wrong somewhere. First minus will happen and then multiplication will happen. Yeah, multiplication will happen first. Yeah, right. So that is going to be 18 plus 7 is going to happen first. Similar BODMAS rule, so I don't have to be 18 plus 7, which is going to be 25, right? And then we are going to have 18 plus 7 plus 10, 35, right? And then the multiplication is going to happen between 2. That is going to be, what did I do? What went wrong? BOD, that means first B bracket operation DMAS, BODMAS. Multiplication is going to happen first. Yeah, that's the rule. So I will say first I will do multiplication of plus and minus, which is plus, right, and which is going to be addition is going to happen at the end. So that is 18 into 7. 18 into 7. That's 126. Why am I doing 80? No, 8 into 7. That's what the mistake was. Oh my god, how can I do 8 plus 7, 15, right? So that is going to be 8 into 7, 56, plus this 10, that is 66. So we should get 66, right? The error was that I don't know why had I kept this 1 here. First we are going to add, that's 8, then we are going to do this bracket because this is outside the brace, so it's not going to happen. So then this brace, 8 plus 7 and then plus 10 is equal to 66. So what is the answer? 66. But I don't have to show you this, but anyways, yeah, I just go too deep into it. Just let's get going. We know that less than, greater than, less than, equivalent to, greater than, equivalent to. So this is more validation, right? Triple is equal to is more checking for string type variables, right? So all the operators you know very well. So these are or, not, and logical operators, right? So the slide is over. So let me take a look at the timings. Oh, I've already crossed 42 minutes. So I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson. Do practice this, and I'll be coming and covering. We are going to get rid of this HTML session within 3 or 4 classes. Practice hard, and at the end we are going to create at least a single good looking web page professionally. And before we move to the responsive web application side, responsive web application side will come after the server-side scripting. I wish you all the best. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Take care and do pray for me.